Hey there, Saints. Pastor Dave here with another devotional for you this Wednesday. It's the second week of Advent, and I'm going to start with another Advent reading from Quinn Caldwell's All I Really Want. This one is about the Christmas crowds. By now, regular churchgoers out there will have noticed the pews in your church beginning to fill up. If your church is like mine, attendance will continue to grow right up through Christmas Eve, when your sanctuary will be fuller than at any other time except maybe Easter. You people who don't get to church that often will find yourselves making an extra effort to show up in the next few weeks. If you don't go often enough the rest of the year to have a regular pew, you might slip into the back row. Maybe somebody will recognize you, maybe not. Maybe you'll care, maybe not. Regular worshipers will rejoice in all the extra people. They might also be tempted to look cynically at the C and E, Christmas and Easter, Christians, with whom they suddenly find themselves sharing their pews. Against any who would be too hard on those who only manage to make it to church on the big days, Jesus tells this parable. One son says he won't go work in the vineyard when their father asks, but then he does it. Another son says he'll go, but then doesn't. Even Jesus' adversaries have to admit that it's the first son who does the Father's will. C&E Christians may not make it to church much, but Jesus points out that God cares more about what we do out in the vineyard than about what we do when the authorities are looking. Who knows what miracles of grace were born this year through that guy sitting next to you whom you haven't seen since last April? This year, if you're an every Sunday type, give C&E churchgoers a break. Welcome them without cynicism. Thank God for bringing you together. Be sure to invite them back. And if you're a C&E type, or one of those lightning will strike if I set foot in the church type, don't slink into the back row. Walk in like you belong, because you do. God, however often I find myself in church, help me act like I'm yours when I'm outside it too. Amen. You know, Saints, I have probably been a little cynical at times myself, noticing how much more crowded the church tends to get around the holidays. It's hard not to feel a little bit like, folks are just showing up because of the season. And maybe they are, maybe they aren't. In a previous devotional Quinn wrote that I didn't read you, he talks about what are the reasons that people come at the holidays and not at other times. And I don't know, maybe you have ideas about that. I don't really have a perfect answer to that question. But the fact remains that this is a time of year when people are here who wouldn't normally be here. And what's the best way to respond to that? Is it judgment or is it grace? Is it questions or is it welcome? I know that I need to be more open and more welcoming to the people that I haven't seen in a long time. I need to be more able to reach out to those people and to make them feel like they do belong here, because that's the reality. We tend to think of any place that we spend a lot of time in as ours. It belongs to us. We are the ones who should be there, and sometimes we notice other people coming in and we think, they ought to recognize that this place is mine. They can hang out at this restaurant, they can hang out at this club, that's okay, but they should know that this is my club. This is my spot, and they should respect that. Church really shouldn't operate that way, should it? This isn't my church. This isn't your church. This is Christ's church. And we don't have any idea how Christ has spoken and invited the people who are showing up now. Let's just be grateful that they've heard whatever they needed to hear to bring them closer to God at this time. And let's be those people who can encourage them to want to continue to grow closer. Saints, that's your devotional this week. I hope it's helpful for you. I hope it's worth thinking about. I hope you're doing well, and I'll be praying for you. Please keep praying for me, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Take care, Saints.